When you live in a small town, everyone knows where you've been and what you have done. I've been trying to leave this old town since I...
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zeta.
And I'm Kelly, and you're listening to
Two Sides and the Truth.
Hey, Zeta, you know what time it is?
What time is it, Kelly?
It's time to pop the top
On the topic of the day.
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot lately, and I'm thinking that this is something we need to talk about. I got a topic idea, and it is about women judging other women, particularly on how they dress and their body. Mm-hmm. And it's as soon as Kelly and I talk about things before we record, like we're like bounce ideas. And when I brought this up, she immediately was like, "Yep,
It's a problem.
it's a problem." And I have a few things that lately have made me think this. And the first one being my son the other day, and you know, I pick him up from school every day, and on the way home we always have a good little talk. And everything out of his mouth was a little judgmental about people. Mm-hmm. And he's really not a mean-spirited person. He's a very sweet person. But if somebody has treated him bad and he's got a little chip on his shoulder about somebody, he will generalize people. I mean, he's still a teenager, and he'll generalize people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times he'll say something about their clothes. He never says anything about anybody's body or their looks or anything like that. It's about their clothes. So anyone that dresses this way, he thinks this way about. Someone dresses this way, he thinks this about. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I continue to be like, okay, why do you care what they're doing?
Yeah.
Why are you generalizing? Why are you putting that on yourself to where you're cutting yourself off from so many people because one person dressed this way was really a dick to you? And so now you're just
anybody in a red cardigan is a dick.
Yeah, and one of the things that he had said was that somebody that was overdressed, and I was like, and so I used you as an example.
Was it me?
No,
I'm just kidding.
But I used you. You know what it was? This particular time we were at Target or Walmart. I'd taken him somewhere. It was just a few days ago. I'd taken him somewhere. And he saw somebody that he went to school with and not friends with, but saw that, you know, he went to school with, and they were dressed up for wherever, Target or whatever it was. And he was like, why would they get dressed up for that? That's just stupid to get dressed up for that. And da-da-da-da. And it really rubbed me wrong. And I was like, why do you care?
Right.
Do they need to give you a backstory about why they're dressed this way right now? I was like, you sound like
I need you to give me a rundown of your daily schedule. I need to know if you merit looking like that.
I was like, you're being real judgmental right now. And he was like, no, it just seems to. I said, no, you are. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. I don't like hearing you talk like that about somebody because it's not your fucking business. Like, what do you want people to think that about you? Mm-hmm. They're going to look at you and your long hair, and they're going to associate things, or, you know, and he did kind of take it to heart, but he didn't. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it because he doesn't mean it how it really is. Like, somebody has wronged him, and now he's generalizing people. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to explain to him that now you're an asshole. Mm-hmm. Like, that's basically what you've done.
Yeah, you joined the club.
Yeah. So I was like, and to be raised by me the way I am, and then to hear my son like that, I'm like, can we not be, what? You know? So that was one of the things. So really, as a parent, me trying to make sure that I correct these behaviors, but not by saying, just don't say things. I need him to understand why.
Yeah, we need an explanation so that it sticks better. Because it's not like, don't do this because I say don't do this. Don't do this because this is how you need to conduct yourself to be an upstanding, you know, person. Right.
And it was funny because when he still wasn't getting it, and he would, but, and finally I said, who do you know that is always dressed up? Who of all the people you see on a regular basis, who do you know that is always dressed up? And he looked at me, and I was like, Kelly. And he goes, I know, but she always looks great. Like, that's Kelly. Like, she's just her own self. She always looks. I said, she puts a lot of work into it because she does it for herself. It makes her feel good about herself. So she doesn't really need to worry about what you or anyone else thinks. And yeah, you think it's fine on Kelly because you like Kelly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but now you're telling me that other people you don't even know, you don't like that about them. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
And he
being
was
a little wishy-washy.
and that was where it hit him. And,
Wow.
and that's when he was like, oh.
Well, yeah, that's good.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, because when she dresses, you think it's cool. I know you do, you know? And he was like, yeah.
Makes me happy to be able to be like a good point person. Like,
Yeah.
you can, that doesn't happen a lot. I'm not usually the good guy in the story.
You are, though, there's times.
Not really
So-
a lot you can learn from me, I guess. No, I'm just kidding.
And I was like, and I told him, I was like, look at my friends. And I was like, look at all my friends. I have a very eclectic group of friends, okay? I said, when I go out in public, people just look at me and there's like, I'm just another mom. Like, I'm not looking like most of my friends where I'm covered in tattoos or, you know, whatever. And I was like, but all my friends have their own, very much their own style, you know?
Yes.
And we've aged and our styles have pretty much, you know, aged with us, but twerked, you know? Mary's still Mary. Mary's always dressed like this. Mary's always going to dress like this. And she's going to be 90 dressed like this. Should she change when she gets older? And that's one thing is that women are like, oh, you're too old to dress like that. Is Mary supposed to change? No one's saying that about Mary. I mean, maybe someone is. But I'm saying, I'm using her as an example because I can't fucking fathom Mary suddenly not dressing like Mary.
Right.
It'd be very weird.
Like
You
seeing
know?
somebody out, like that you've only seen in work clothes, and then
Yeah.
you see them in like their regular clothes, and you're like, whoa, who
What is
even
going
are
on?
you?
Yeah. It's like when you used to see your teacher at the grocery store. You're like, what the fuck? I thought you only lived at the school. I didn't know you ate.
You can't exist here.
You need groceries? Same concept, you know. And I just hear shit like this all the time, and it drives me insane. We are allowed to look like we want to look.
Yeah. It's hard to unlearn things that have been just programmed into you from, you know, your entire life. Because I can remember back being very young and the TV being on and it being like, you know, a what not to wear kind of show. And like,
Yeah.
and I remember very vividly them like telling women like once you're past this certain age, you can't wear mini skirts anymore and you can't wear this with that and you can't do that and that. I'm like, of course that was just their opinion at the time. Like that was their style and their opinion at the time. But I was very young. That implanted into my brain because at that point you are a sponge and you are soaking up everything around you. So if you're seeing violence on a daily basis or you're seeing, you know, any kind of anger or any kind of negative, that sticks in your brain a lot.
Well, it's just like, you know, whenever women are obsessed with their weight or their looks, and they talk about it nonstop in front of their children.
Yeah. My mother was on a perpetual diet her entire life. And guess who has an eating disorder? Me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly.
And I've had it my entire life because from a very young age, the first thing that I knew of a woman who and how she valued herself, weight and your body and the way it looks took such a precedent over so many other things that are so much more important.
Yeah.
And I know that now because I have, you know,
But when you're a kid.
yeah, but you soak it up, and it's so hard to unlearn. That's why it's so easy to learn languages when you're
And if
young
you got
because
a
you just
parent-
learn it all.
And if you got a parent doing it, and then you go to school and you have a childhood bully doing it, or you just have somebody else that maybe they're getting the same information at home, and then it's trickling down even more. So these kids are like double, triple getting it.
It is like very much reinforced day after day.
Yeah.
And still is. I mean, I still have to combat that, but with all the skills that I've learned, I try to combat it, but it's still pressed upon you. It will never stop. Because it's just, that's the way the world is, I guess. That's one of those things you just have to, that is one of the evils of this world is, you know, our own way that we tear ourselves down and the way that we tear others down.
Yeah.
And sometimes without even knowing it because it's so ingrained, you can think a negative thought and before you know it, it's out your mouth. But even if it doesn't come out your mouth, if you thought it, that's still something that it is taxing on you mentally.
Yeah.
So when I walk down the road and I'm meeting people's eyes, I try to always look, which is very hard for me to do, but I like to look people in the eyes because people who look at me, I like for them to know that I see you too.
Yeah.
You see me and I see you. And I consider that a form of respect and also a form of security. Like, I know your face as well. I know exactly what you look like. And so I assess people because I like to see what they look like for security reasons, and then also I'm just observant. I do like clothes and I do like fashion. So if I see things,
you never walking by and being like,
I never,
they look crazy.
I never tear anybody down on purpose. Sometimes, but it does happen in my brain. Sometimes I see something and I don't like it. I don't like that print, or I don't like I don't like, it's not my preference.
But you're not thinking less of the person.
I know, but that's where it stops. I stop it there in my brain because I'm like, that's my opinion. Right. And they get to do whatever they want, and I'm so happy that they,
Well, and now I will say, there is a time and place. If you're in a professional environment, you are expected to dress professional.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying normal, everyday life, we're going to the club, we're going to the, Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know. We're going wherever we're going. And it's women are the worst ones. Women are the worst ones. And I hate that because I'm a woman's woman, and it's really hurtful to see. So like Zoe one time, somebody that she went to school with told one of their mutual friends that she saw her at the grocery store with me, and Zoe was like in pajamas, like she was wearing like sweats and a t-shirt, and they were like, I can't believe she went in public like that. And then that person told Zoe. So now every time I go to the grocery store, she was like, I can't believe I'm going in public like this. This is crazy. I'm going to the grocery store in sweats.
Can you believe it?
And there's people like that. And it's just it's absolutely crazy to me. And so part of what made me also think about this is this whole thing with Pamela Anderson recently, because Pamela Anderson recently has stopped wearing like makeup. I don't think she's completely given it up. I think she's just given it up where she's no longer doing a glam team. I think that, she said, if I want to wear makeup, I'm going to wear makeup. Yeah. But right now, I don't. That's not it's almost like she's trying to undo what she put out there by being such a bombshell. Because she's a stunning woman.
Yes.
But she's not reality. Most people don't look like that, and then on top of that, have a glam team that comes in and makes you look even better than she already naturally looks. Mm-hmm. And all you can imagine people like her weight and her body and her face, how much it has to be perfect. Yeah. Like you have a pimple, it has to be perfect. So for her to be, and she's in her late 50s. Mm-hmm. I think she might be 60 even, but she's in her late 50s. And she is natural and looks stunning and goes to these events where everybody's glammed up and she has no makeup on and she is just raw to the world, like no and to read the comment section.
Oh gosh.
And there's some men saying stuff, but the women are vicious. And they're like, oh my God, look how she's let herself go. And I feel like
they're like even more vicious behind
the keyboard.
Like that brings out, such a demon in people.
And I always say this, I always tell people, that your friends and family can see what you're commenting. Right?
This isn't private.
So other people will see the comment you put on that public post and see that you're talking shit about, and she's stunning. Okay, first off, I dare you to sit next to her and take a picture and think you're going to look better.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Completely in the same position. But Brooke Shields recently. Brooke Shields, considered one of the most beautiful women in the world, always has been, and she is. Unfortunately, from the time she started as a child, and they used her in that poor woman, the things that they put these actors through as children. And her mom was very much one of those moms where you have to be perfect and stage mom and all this stuff. And she has recently started being a little bit more natural. And she's always been natural. She's just aging. She's like 60, I think she's like 62 or 64. She's stunning. She looks amazing. With or without makeup, Brooke Shields has aged very well. And she's just looking her age. She's not doing what Pamela Anderson's doing, where she's just not getting Botox, and she's aging naturally. And the comment section once again. And again,
that's why I stay out of comment sections.
Sit next to her. Sit next to her and see how you look. I don't think most people are going to look like that at her age. I'm just saying. Melissa McCartney, that was the other one. I love me some Melissa McCartney. And so Melissa McCartney is a bigger woman. And this year at this last big event, I don't know the name, the Golden Globes, one of these, she goes, and capes are a big deal this year. So all these women are in these beautiful dresses with these beautiful capes. They have these beautiful outfits with these beautiful capes, all different kinds of capes. Some look better than others, but they were pretty cool.
That was the fashion
It was
statement.
it was
I
the
got it.
look of
Yeah,
the year.
all right.
Well, all the other women are.
Need to get me a cape. Sorry, I had to make a note.
Yeah. All these other women are tiny women, like most women in Hollywood, And so these women, every fashion thing I wrote, no one ever was like, ooh, the cape is too much. Even if they didn't like the cape, it was like, I don't know if she needed the cape, but it wasn't about how big it made her look. It was about...
It was just the way that it looked.
Yeah, maybe
the style of it,
Yes.
or the print of it, or whatever.
But they go to Melissa McCartney, and first off, as soon as I saw Melissa McCartney's outfit, I was like, that's my favorite look. Hands down, it was my favorite look I saw. It was all pink, Barbie pink suit. She had on this beautiful Barbie pink suit. And then she had this amazing cape, and it was like an ombre of different pinks. Oh. And it was big and like fluffy, and like it was the best cape, hands down the best looking cape. And I saw her, and it didn't even occur to me her size. Like Melissa McCartney, who doesn't think she's amazing and cute, She
is amazing.
And so I saw her, and I was like, oh my God, I love that. I love that cape, And so they were doing like a best dressed whatever, and it was like they were concentrating on the capes, right? And so they were like the best outfits, and they all had capes, And then she was their worst because it made her look too big. Yeah, they were like, she can't take up that much space. Like basically,
she's too fluffy. It's too much. The volume is too much.
She's too, yeah. She's taking, like literally, she's taking up too much space.
Like what?
And like with that body, she shouldn't be. What?
That's where you're wrong. You just started wrong. You should know.
I'm just getting fucking pissed.
Oh my God.
And I want to say, as a bigger woman, and I am, and my weight fluctuates. Sometimes I'm not as big as others, but I'm always a bigger woman because I'm 5'10". I'm always going to be the bigger woman in the room, at least in height. And I'm a thick girl even when I'm thin, and I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I don't care. I like myself both ways. Yeah, there's sizes I like myself better than others because I can buy more clothes and they fit better and stuff like that. But I'm not looking in the mirror grossed out. This is me. This is what I got, and
this is what I'm working with.
And my man likes it too, so we're good.
Amen.
And so maybe I'm sensitive to these because I think, but also I get so much unsolicited opinions on my weight. And it might be a small comment like, what is the corn-fed? You know how many times I've been called corn-fed?
Girl.
Fuck y'all.
I know. I've been told I ain't got my beans and rice.
I eat less food than anyone in this house. Hands down. And, I mean, come on. And I get, beans and rice, this stupid shit.
Yeah.
And so I get comments. And, like, I have a family member that is a smaller person, and I cannot tell you how many times they have made a comment about my body, and it's gotten to the point I really don't go. I see them,
right?
Because I know what's coming.
I don't understand people's obsessions with other people's bodies.
No,
it never ceases to boggle my mind how much importance people place on other people's bodies.
Why does
not
it bother
even yours?
You
it's to place so much importance on your own. That's your own prerogative. I put a lot of importance on my body because it makes me happy. So I take time to do my hair, and I take time to do if I want to do my makeup for the day, and I pick out my outfit, and I dress exactly how I want to dress, and I keep myself looking the way I want to look because it makes me happy. That places a lot of importance on my body. And that's okay because I can choose to do that because it's my body. But I can't place that amount of importance on anybody else's body because I don't own your body. I'm not going to tell you how to dress. I'm not going to tell you how much you should eat or what your physique should look like or what patterns you should put together or you should wear pants today and not just... I can't place that amount of importance on your body because your body's not mine. I don't own it.
Right.
And I can't place it on anybody else's. So people take their expertise of, oh, I'm a fashion designer, or oh, I'm this and oh, I'm that. And that's fine when it comes to patterns or things or fits of things or the structure that you're trying to build in an outfit. Totally understandable. But when it comes to the body that the outfit is on, you have no right to make any kind of judgment. The only judgment you can have as any kind of fashion or any kind of like, let me show you how to, or let me critique this look, the fabric, the cut, the fit, you can go all to town on all those because that's dealing with the garment and the way it was made and the way it was tailored and the colors and the textures and totally fine.
Yeah.
But the body that it is on, you have absolutely no right to comment on the way that it looks unless you want to give them a compliment of, you look you look amazing. I absolutely love the way you're put together. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. But that is the extent that you can comment on another people's body.
Well, people have gotten way too comfortable with it. And
I know, it's absurd. That's why I don't read comment sections.
But I'm talking in person.
Yeah, well, that too.
Like
I don't,
people that have said it to me.
I also don't listen to people's comments about it either.
And like old men that I know, like I used to work with this old man and he would be like, oh, you getting thick. And I'm like, you're getting old. Like, I don't know, dude.
We're just starting with the violence. You just chose violence right off bat.
And I'm like, and when I went to my high school 10-year reunion, we had like it wasn't 10-year, 5-year. We had a 5-year mini barbecue thing, right? I didn't go to another one until my 20 year. And 20 year. And because of this experience, that's why I didn't go to another one until my 20th year. I was pregnant. Okay, so I was like 6 months pregnant with Zane, I think, when I went to this reunion. And somebody at the reunion said to somebody else, wow, Zeta's really gained a lot of weight. And that person said...
Did that make you feel so much better about yourself?
And that person said she has a 1.5-year-old and she's 6 months pregnant. Oh, I just thought she was gaining weight. What the fuck?
That is so... I hate that.
Well, I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I wasn't big. That's the funny. I was just pregnant. I was young. I was like 25. I was just pregnant. Mm-hmm. And since I'm about to hit my second 25th birthday, that was 25 years ago. And I still not only remember what was said and who told me, but where we were standing when they told me.
Yeah. It is really hard. It's so hard. Also, when it comes from women, it stings so much more when it's from a woman because I really feel like, and I'm not saying that every woman can be your safe space or be safe. I understand that is a fantasy world. But I always want that. Like I always want, because I always try to be a woman's woman and I always try to be a safe place and I always try to be, a good person, just underline. Yeah. And so, but I can't always expect others to be like that. But when you're a woman, I hope that you are, especially if you're somebody that I'm an acquaintance of, or like I'm starting to be a friend of, like I'm starting to put trust and faith in you. I'm starting to feel comfortable around you. And then it comes like, it's a slap in the face and it hurts so much coming from a woman.
Yeah.
So I have a little thing I want to get into real quick and have your input about it. And because you were there too. And the other people that were there, I haven't even got to see them before because I've kind of wanted to get their perspective on it. Because this is something I even talked to my therapist about. And she gets highlights, things that really, really stick out to me, I will cover with her. And this is one of the things. And it was the day that we went to the wedding. So when we went to the wedding, I got a dress for that wedding I absolutely fell in love with it. I got it at a vintage shop when I went to Oklahoma with my sister-in-law, Annie. And I couldn't believe, I loved it on the rack. I couldn't believe that it fit on my body and I never worn a dress like it before. It was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
I loved it.
And it looked really good on you.
And the thing is, yes, I know it was a little in my mind daring because of the cut of it. It had a low neckline, but in my opinion, I still thought it was very tasteful. I thought it looked really great on my body. And it was a wedding that you were supposed to dress to the nines at. Yeah. So why not go for it? You know what I mean? So then whenever we left the wedding and we went to the bar, I walked in, and as soon as I walked in, I knew, like, I already kind of felt overdressed, but I always feel overdressed because I do overdress all the time. Like, that's the way I live my life. I like to look great all of the time. And so I walk in, and I see a look on a woman's face, and this is somebody I know. And so, the look on her face is, That's the look. It is, no, she did not just walk up in here looking like that. That's the look. And then she looks over to her husband. She says something to him. I don't know what she said, but I'm pretty sure, I'm not perfect at reading lips, but it was something along the lines of, no, we're not. You're not even allowed to look at her, basically.
Yeah.
So then I make a point to go, this is someone I know. You know, I know her. We're not like necessarily friends, but we're not friends. I see her. She's an acquaintance. Like, you know, she's there a lot. And I say hi and bye to them all the time. I've been in conversation with them. So I walk over and I say hello to her. I make a point to say hello to her, look her in the face. Because this is the point where, like, if you really have a problem, you should, like, say it, you know. Don't just talk about me.
Yeah. And you're not a pussy.
And, but that took a lot too. But I did exactly what a woman's supposed to do. You're supposed to go and you're supposed to say hi, and I gave her a hug. I submitted to her. That is me submitting to you as a woman. Right. I'm going to come, I'm going to give you respect. I'm going to say hello to you. I'll give you a hug. Didn't even look at her husband, because that's what, I know. I'm a woman. I know what you're supposed to do, especially when you've ticked off a woman. I didn't say hi to him. He didn't exist.
Yeah.
Only she did. I gave her that respect. And then I walked away and I left her alone. They didn't talk to me. They didn't, nothing the entire evening. And then when they left, I was sitting by a friend, in between two friends actually. When they left, she came and she said goodbye to the friend on my right. And then she said goodbye to the friend on my left. She didn't look at me. I was not allowed to exist in that moment. Yeah. She made no eye contact with me. She didn't say goodbye. I didn't exist. And she walked out.
Yeah, that's some insecure bitch shit.
And I understand it. I do, because I can dive deep and I can understand the underlying causes and why she did that, and then I can decide how I want to handle the situation moving forward. Like, I get it, but it hurts so much, like, to be so judged on the way that you look.
And you looked really good. And I might add, there was somebody else at the wedding with a very similar dress. Yeah. And which is weird, because it's a very unusual dress. Mm-hmm. So the fact, you know what I'm talking about. You saw, it wasn't the same, but it was a similar cut.
Similar cut, yeah.
And a similar fabric, but it wasn't the same. And I saw her and I thought, wow, she looks really good. And then there was another lady that had a pretty low cut dress that was really pretty as well. All three of y'all probably the same kind of. It's not traditional. You didn't have cleavage showing though.
No, it was a plunging neckline.
But it full coverage.
Yeah, but it was full coverage. And the thing is, I don't have really big boobs.
Yeah.
Like
if I wore it, yes.
People are going to be popping out all over the place.
They wouldn't have fit in there.
But the thing is, it fit me snug, but I do not have large breasts. So it's not like they were like popping out all over the place or anything like that.
It was very tasteful.
But that is probably the most skin that I've probably shown in
a
long time.
And it was also a floor-length dress.
Yeah, that's what
it was a formal dress.
It was a floor-length dress. So I understand, but that's beside the point. The fact of the matter was, I wasn't allowed to exist looking the way that I looked in that moment.
Yeah.
And to me, that is so hurtful.
You're so much nicer than me, because I would have been shaking my fucking ass in front of her and her husband. Fuck that shit. You want to be an insecure bitch? I don't need to hold space for you.
And
I want to make the rest of your night fucking miserable.
I didn't. Well, so they left, and she walked out. As soon as she said bye, and then made a point that she wasn't even acknowledging me, she walked away.
I hope you do that to her the next time you see her. I hope you say hi to everyone around her.
So listen, I've talked through this with my therapist. I've talked about, what you could do moving forward, what I want to do and what I'm going to do, because those are always usually two different things. I would like to know
what was the advice?
But the thing is, my therapist wanted me, another part of that was that as soon as she walked out, whatever. So both of the people who I was sitting in between saw the interaction. Uh-huh. They both know they know what I know, the exact same thing. We all came to the same conclusion because we all witnessed it together. Yeah. And, but I didn't say anything about it because to me, I was just going to get upset because I am a sensitive person. Yeah. So I was just like, whatever. Okay, let's just have fun. But I know that they brought it up. Like, she said something they talked about it to each other because she was like, did she literally just do it? She just did that to Kelly? Like, did that just happen? And so I did want to talk to them about it to see what their, opinion of the situation was, because they were the only other people that were literally right there when it happened.
Yeah.
And when I assess the situation, like what was said and what happened, sometimes in my mind, I don't always remember things, especially if they really hurt my feelings, I block them out.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for me to even remember everything to tell my therapist because my amnesia block went up and I couldn't even remember that it happened. And so often that's what happens with me. So a lot of times people get away with things when it comes to me because my brain will literally just erase it for you. I'm just going to do you a favor. And I'm not going to let Kelly kill you. So we're just going to erase this memory. But so that was my next thing because I told my therapist about it. She asked me how I want, because she always asks me how I want to react. And so I give her my initial reaction of, oh, this is what I'm going to do. But usually I don't go with that because it's usually, in my opinion, a rude thing to do or a hateful thing to do or an illegal thing to do, like all of the above.
Yeah.
And then
it's
she
just
was
like a gut reaction.
So then she is like, okay, well then how could we, what could you do that you really think you would be okay with, that you could live with, that you could be all right with. And so then it comes to, okay, well then you can just, because at first I was like, okay, well I'm just going to ignore. Like if I wasn't allowed to exist, I will continue to not exist for you. I'm not going to make your like life a living hell, but you are now cut off from me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to like try and protect your name against it either. If somebody asks me, why don't you like so-and-so? I will let them know, but I'm not allowed to exist around them, apparently. I'm not trustworthy when really I am. Because really what you're thinking is that you can't trust me.
Yeah.
Or
your husband.
I can't trust this woman looking like this.
No.
Oh, okay.
She's trying to steal my man by showing up in a room she didn't know he was going to be in.
And the thing is like, I am 100% trustworthy. Well, I really am. Because really what you're worried about is like, what? That something would happen? Like I would do something with your husband? No, I'm not. I don't let anybody touch me. Like, what do you think your husband's special? I'm like, no, he will lose his hand too. Like, just like anybody else who tried to put their hands on me. So like, you really have nothing to worry about with me. You know, I don't know what you are worried about, but it really doesn't have to be me. You can like me, or you don't have to. Like, I can exist across the room from somebody and I won't even look at you. If that's really what you want. And if that's what you want, fine. Because some people, they don't want me to exist in their life. They're like, nope, Kelly, nope.
What did you come to the conclusion that you will do? What is the end result?
Right now, it is usually what I do, which is avoid. So I will avoid and I will not have any kind of interaction. I will not initiate an interaction. Yeah. If an interaction is initiated with me, then I can tell them, okay, no, no, you're gonna have to stay over there. You put baby in the corner. Don't be mad that I'm staying over here in the corner, okay? And I don't care who else is gonna be like, ooh, why is baby in the corner? Why aren't y'all getting along? And then that might sway other people's judgment of you because you shouldn't have treated me that way. Right. But to each their own. I'm like, well, she could dug her own grave when it comes to me. Now, but I'm a forgiving person. Like, if she were to come to me and she were to say, I handled that situation poorly and I apologize and you didn't deserve to be disrespected like that, and I did, I would forgive her. I would I appreciate your apology and it did hurt my feelings, but I appreciate you coming and taking the time and to tell me that you're sorry, and I hope that something like that doesn't happen again, and I hope that you know that you can trust me. Yeah. And I hope that we can be friends or continue to be friends.
You are such a better person than me.
But the thing is, I really like this lady. I like this lady. I like her husband. I think they're fun. They're a good time. I have no qualms. And it makes me sad that I feel one now, or the one that has been placed upon me. Yeah. But that's the reality of especially when you're trying to make new friends and put yourself out there, which I am trying to do all the time.
I have a similar amnesia. I will forget something happened, as you know, with my memory, but I will go off on someone and forget it. Or I will not like them for something they said or did. Like, I'll be like, fuck that asshole, Mm-hmm. And then I'll forget, and then I'll reintroduce myself to them.
Because you don't,
because I forgot about them.
I've done that before.
I've done it a lot. And then I'm like, oh, have we met before? And they'll be like, yeah, or whatever. And then I'll be like, should I not like this person? And then I'm like, do I not remember?
Oh my gosh, it's a problem.
A situation.
It's a real problem.
And I mean, and I usually won't remember what happened. I'll just, in the back of my head, I'll be like, At some point, either
Something's
I
pinging
pissed
my radar.
them off, or they pissed me off, or something happened.
Can't put my finger on it.
I need
but
to
it's
just
something.
maybe not hang out with them because I don't remember if they were in the wrong, or maybe I doubt I would. I mean, I think I remember shit I did wrong. Like when I fuck up, I'll feel bad about it. Then I'll be like, I don't usually regret though telling people off.
I do.
I don't, because I didn't.
But it's only because I get onto myself so much.
I'm not a Karen. I'm very selective who I go off on. So it's not like I'm throwing it out to just anyone. So I know if I threw it at you, I needed to throw it at you.
Yeah.
And,
you got the poo on purpose.
Yeah. And I also I spent years afraid to use my voice. For years, it wasn't that I wasn't told to take up a room. I was told to be seen and not heard.
I was told the exact same thing.
Right, and so
I have another thing that's stuck in my brain is, Kelly, you're pretty, don't talk.
Yeah. I've been told, yes. I've been told things like that as well. Yeah.
Or to sit there
and be pretty.
and look pretty.
Yep.
That's what I need you to do. I need you to sit there. I don't need you to touch anything. I don't need you to say anything. I don't need you to do. I want you to sit right there and just look pretty.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to. That's the amount of space you can take up. That's it, right there. That's all you can do.
Yeah. And
that messes with a person's brain.
I have had the same type. And when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah. That's why that's all I do now. If you see me, what am I doing? I'm sitting somewhere and I'm looking pretty.
I'm not, man. I'm not. I'm like, fuck you and you and you. And I don't even care if I look fucking pretty. And the other day I got home I had to take kids everywhere. I was all over driving kids places and running errands.
Mom
whatever.
cab.
And so I'd gotten home, and I'd actually, you know what? It was Sunday, and on Sunday we interviewed a comic again, and so Al didn't tell me who the comic was, and he was like, "Just come up here." Okay, so I go up there to record, and I don't know who it is, and if we're going to take any pictures, so I want to look nice, so I kind of dressed up kind of nice, and with some makeup and stuff. And I go up there, we don't take any pictures, but whatever. And I come home, and I immediately change into my house dress that I have a dress that I love because I don't have to wear a bra around the house and nipple out for my child. And so I like to wear this dress to clean house, to relax, whatever. And it was cold, and I had to go pick up Zoe from work. So I was like, I'll just throw my shawl on. And so I have on this dress, and it's black, and it has like this white embroidery on it that's like a Mexican-style embroidery. And I'm wearing my house shoes, which have like a Mexican print. And then I grab my shawl, and I throw it on, and it's like a poncho shawl, and it is in a Southwest print. And I go pick up Zoe, and then she doesn't see me standing up till I get out of the car to walk in the house, and I'm right ahead of her. And she was like, Mom, what are you doing?
What is this?
What are you wearing? And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And she was like, are you an abuela? Do you identify as Mexican? Are you taking this new future husband being Mexican serious here? Because
you're really getting into your role.
And do you realize you're culturally appropriating at this point?
No, never.
She was teasing me, and I was like, oh my God, I do look like an abuela, but I'm really tall. I'm like the tallest, whitest abuela, and I don't even have a grandkid. This is my new stage in life, is abuela.
You are blossoming into a beautiful,
I mean,
beautiful
and I'm
abuela.
going to tell you right now that if my son's girlfriend, which I'm sure is my future daughter-in-law, so I'm sure someday they're going to have children, and she's Hispanic, and her mom will definitely be an abuela. I'm absolutely positive she will go by abuela because she is from Mexico. She's going to be abuela. I want to be abuela. I want to be called abuela. I don't want to be called grandma. I want to be abuela too, but I can't because I'm white. But my last name will be Reese, so maybe.
I think you could get away with it.
Anyways, I got off topic, but I didn't because my goal now is to be the loudest one in the room that's not afraid to use their voice, and but that's just my stage. We go through stages.
Yeah.
It might change, but this is the current stage. I'm going to be mouthy.
All right.
It's been a long
Me too.
time. I've been
you know
on
what?
this.
Fuck it. Me too.
All right, good. I've been on this stage for a while, though. And I don't give a fuck if I'm the biggest one in the room. And I don't give a fuck if you're dressed like you dress, which is amazing, and I look like a fucking abuela. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Absolutely not.
You know, if I look nice, that's great too. But I just want to be comfortable in my own skin and not worry about what everybody else is thinking. And I'm just really fucking tired of other women making women feel smaller.
Right.
Or bigger. I guess you could look at it that way.
However, yeah.
But stop worrying about what other fucking women look like. You worry about you, girl. You know what I mean?
Where about you, boo?
Yeah. Or I'll kick your ass and Kelly will stab you.
To do a little catching up for this past. Okay, so we started our new year. Woohoo! I hope everybody is.
We're like 2 weeks into it.
I know, but so far so good. I have already failed at my being nicer.
I failed at not having a drink when I went to get a pedicure, and the lady knew I had an appointment, and so she had my wine waiting.
I know.
And she knows me.
You can't refuse a service like that.
That's rude.
I know.
I am a lady.
I was raised better than that.
I was too, so I drank that fucking wine.
I respect my service industry people.
And then Kelly pops up and sees me drinking it.
And then you were caught.
But I was going to even tell you, I was already giggling to myself that I was like, of course, I even knew before I get there, if she gives me wine, I'm going to drink the fucking wine.
I mean,
okay, anyways.
It's a blessing at that point.
I also have broken it.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's why it never really was a thing. But I always hope that I can try and be nicer, but it is just like a fleeting fantasy at this point in my life. But that's why I spend a lot of time in therapy. So, okay, so the supposed ice storm that never happened. The apocalypse did not come.
Are we going to call the storm Ricky fucking Martin?
That's fine. That's fine with me.
Okay, because there's a podcast girl or TikTok girl that is hilarious, and she did throughout the ice. It was really snowing where she was. She's in Kentucky, and she was doing the weather and calling herself the lesbian weather person. And every one of her TikToks, she starts off pissed. It's like she's pissed the whole time. But she's so fucking funny, and she didn't know the name of the storm, so she said, you know what, we're just going to call it Ricky Martin, okay? Ricky fucking Martin. And so now that's how I want to refer to this ice storm that never happened.
Whenever you told me that, the first time you told me that, because I had no idea why it was Ricky Martin storm, it was just a text from you, so I was like, okay, I guess that's what we're calling the storm. I just went with it, but I thought vaguely in the back of my mind, I was like, is this because it was Ricky Martin supposed to like go on tour, and then like he never did? Did he lie to us?
No.
Like, is there a correlation, or are we just going with it?
I was watching Kentucky weather more than our own just to watch this girl because she's so funny. And she called it that, so now that's calling it. But yeah, we got nothing. I was so prepared, y'all. I was so prepared. I cooked the days I don't normally cook because I went out and bought food for those days. And so, yeah, I did buy more groceries because I usually go out to dinner. And if it's frozen, I can't go out to dinner. So I had to cook. And then nothing happened. And I could have gone out to dinner. And I was pissed about it.
I'm so sorry.
But it was nice to hang out with Rick during Ricky Martin.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And we were both stuck in the house together, and we had such a good time. We've never really been snowed in together. We did have a little bit of a fake ice storm last year, but he was out of town for part of it or something. I don't remember.
I'm very much growing on the storms that never happened in Texas and us just shutting everything down.
Yeah, because we get to miss work.
I'm totally on board. I'm sold.
Yeah, I am too. And Madison kept saying that she hoped it didn't close everything down because she had plans Friday. And I was like, why are you trying to ruin my life, Madison?
I need you to step off.
I'm trying to not go to work and you're trying to send me there? But nothing happened, and so we didn't get anything. I saw like 2 flurries of snow and a lot of rain, and nothing froze, and it was a little chilly, but it wasn't freezing cold. But we have an upcoming one that's not supposed to bring ice. It is a small chance of snow, but it is going to be cold as shit this upcoming weekend. Mm-hmm. And watch this be the one that becomes the ice storm. Like they're like, oh, it's just going to be cold. Watch this be the one, and us all be without our... I won't have any Fritos. I won't have any bread. This could be horrible. We could starve to death, okay?
I think we're going to be okay.
Okay, well. Anyways, that was Ricky fucking Martin.
Well, I enjoyed it too, but I just didn't do anything. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I stayed home.
Well, okay, so
I kept the house warm. I kept the fire lit.
We stayed home, and Rick and I both get stir crazy. We're both doers. So I was doing stuff. He was doing stuff. We were coming up with shit to do. But we spent a lot of time just hanging out, and he was doing projects. Like he was in the garage moving shit and stuff. So we're in there talking one day, and he says, he says, I tell him, you need to watch that bombing thing had just happened in New Orleans, and there was a CIA agent woman, and she was being interviewed, and I thought he'd like the interview, and I was like, hey, you need to go watch this woman, Google her name. I didn't even tell him what interview. I just said Google her name and watch an interview. She's really interesting. So he actually listened, which was the first shocking part, and he goes and listens to the thing. I didn't even send him a link, so this is really proactive, okay?
He dove deep into this.
Yeah, and so he goes and he watches it, and he didn't even tell me he watched it, so I didn't even know he watches it. And so this is like, a week and a half ago probably. And so since then, he went and watched it, and the person whose podcast it was on, he's decided he really likes this guy. And he doesn't listen to podcasts either, so it's even funnier. And so he watches this podcast, but he's watching it, and he interviews a lot of like people like CIA operatives and ex-retired FBI or like military people that served in Afghanistan, but like they were like snipers, like people with war stories and terrorism story. He finds it very interesting. And so he's been watching that. And so he also, over the course of the Ricky Martin, he was doing a lot of things for me. I mean, a lot of things for me, okay? And like, I didn't even have to ask. And he was just doing things for me, like just a little more than usual. And he's not a lazy guy. So he's always doing things, but he was doing things just for me.
Yeah, he was going above and beyond.
Yeah. And I got concerned. Because that's weird, and from him. And so I said,
us women, we're so just.
And so I said, what's going on?
Can't just accept a good thing.
Why are you doing all these things? And he was like, well, because your love language is acts of service. Okay.
It is. That is your love language.
I know. And I'm
aware.
Yeah, and I've told him that before. For years. In fact, if you remember, many of our OG listeners we've done an entire podcast about love languages.
It was literally one of our firsts.
Yes, and Rick does not listen to the podcast because he doesn't want to get mad. And because
so it's not because he's not allowed. It's because it's just understood that
he just decided this on his own.
That's the same thing that Dante did. He decided he was not going to listen.
Yeah,
he hears enough about me. He knows everything.
Well, and that's what he said. I already heard your fucking story.
He knows everything there is to know.
I know
about
everything
me.
You're going to say. I've already heard twice because you forgot. You already told me.
I've been around the block a time or two. Okay?
So he's valid. And so I was like, I know that's my love language, and I've done a podcast about it. But on top of that, you and I had this discussion, and I'm pretty sure you made fun of me or like you made a joke of it or something. And I was like, no, I'm serious. Listen to what I'm saying. And I don't think you took it serious. And that was like maybe 3 years ago. And now you're telling me that you heard a guy on a podcast.
You've discovered love languages.
Say, because that's where I asked him where he got this from. He goes, oh, this podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, a guy on that podcast I couldn't understand why this guy was talking about love language on this particular podcast. Because this is like alpha male podcast, And so he's like, yeah. And we do each other for each other in our love languages. And, you know my love language. What do you think my love language was? And I was like, physical touch, and I need to feed you. Like, you want food. As I said on a previous podcast.
Physical touch and nurturing.
Yeah. And Rick is an unusually affectionate person physically. Like, it's surprising from Mr. Alpha Male, but he loves a good hug, and he likes to snuggle, and he likes to give me a kiss on the cheek, and he likes to just come up and kind of embrace me. And he's physical, and he's sweet, and I like that about him. He'll even like just reach over while we're driving and like grab my arm or something, and so, and like hold it or something. And so he's right. I mean, I said what it was. He was like, "Yes, it is. You know my love language." And I'm just like, "What the fuck, dude? You listen to a stranger mansplain my love language to you, and now it's the word."
Sometimes I think that men have to have it come from another man's mouth to like scratch an itch in the brain that like wakes up a whole like train of thought and understanding.
Well, and I was laughing at him because I found this whole thing funny. And then he started laughing because he realized that, yes, I have actually had this conversation with him before, and he did not take it serious.
The woman is valid. She is valid.
Yeah, and so we both kind of laughed about it, and I've been teasing him about it. But I'm going to tell you, the man has been doing it, and he's still doing it, and he's seeing the value in it. And so then I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, I need to watch this. I need to listen to this podcast. Like,
Now you got to up your game.
yeah, I want to know.
You got to touch them and feed them more.
Yeah, I need to know. And so I was like, I got to find this podcast. So yesterday I locate the podcast, but I didn't know who he was interviewing. I just knew this guy's the podcaster. I had no idea who he was talking to or anything. So I don't even know the guy's name either. I don't know the podcaster's name.
You had to go down a rabbit hole.
I had to figure out, I had to remember the girl's name again. I looked up for her being podcast, used the keywords, found the podcast, then I found the podcaster's name. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, okay, now I use the podcaster's name and I type in like keywords like love language or this or this or this or this. And I finally find it. It takes me like 25 minutes. I finally find the podcast and I listen to it. And let me tell you, of the entire podcast, he said 3 sentences maybe about love languages. That's it. This was not a podcast about love languages. The guy that he was interviewing was some military guy who was overseas. He travels. He does all this crazy shit. So he's obviously not always home, and he'd been married like 30 years or something crazy. And so the podcaster says, "So how have you kept such a healthy relationship? A lot of men in the military, can't do that. In your circumstances, have you done that?" Mm-hmm. And the guy says, "Oh man, you got to go with their love languages. And my love language, listen to this. This is what makes it so fucking funny. My love language is physical touch, and her languages is acts of service. And so I make sure I do acts of service, and she makes sure she gives me physical touch. And, we're just in tune with each other, and it makes a good marriage." That's all he fucking said. That was it. That's it.
That was imprinted.
Rick doesn't even know the 5 love language. He heard what he said.
He just knows.
Physical touch, acts of service. That must be ours too. Sold. The fuck.
Hey, well, it couldn't have been more right. He was right on the docket.
I literally gave the man a key of information. Here it is. Here's my gift. Here you go. I'm handing it to you. I'm putting it in his hand. Acts of service. When you do things like get my oil changed and fill up my truck, or that little extra, a little bit more, it just means so much to me because you thought about me.
Yeah. When I look down and I don't have to do what I was about to do because somebody just did it for me, and I didn't even know it.
I didn't bug you.
Now I realize that is the best.
Yes. Or if I ask you something, you do it the first time even. Yeah. And because I already have to parent children, And so he's been doing it, but he really did take it to heart. But that's all the motherfucker said. I've had a full conversation with the same man, handed him the key of information, said, acts of service. And he said, I don't know if I buy into this.
I don't know. It seems fishy.
But this stranger on the internet who talked about it in 3 sentences, that's the one that knows.
Oh, that's so great. Well, you know what? That is it's the exact same for me and Dante. His love language is acts of service, and mine, strangely enough, is physical touch, because that's the one thing that I cannot and do not get from anybody else. I do not allow access to my body any other time. And so there's a part of me that really needs it and craves it and has to have it. So when I'm with him, it's so funny too, because anybody that knows Dante or it has been, around us together, especially my family, because they see him the most. With me, it's so funny because I'm all over. Not that I'm all over him, but I'm touching him, I'm hugging him, I'm kissing him, I'm giving him hugs. I'm like, I want to sit in his lap. Like I love something touching that man's body. Like I'm so attracted to him. And it's so funny to see because I never touch anything. I don't even pet the animals in our house. Like, so it's so funny. But that's the role that he feels for me in so many ways, but in that particularly, like very much so. I love it. Wow. So another thing that for my catching up, every year I update my therapy contract, and I update it more than once a year, at my therapist's discretion, but at least once a year I go over my therapy contract of things that I need to do for myself, things I'm doing well, things I'm struggling with, goals that I'm wanting to hit for my own personal life, and then also professional life and intimate life, everything above, all the above. And so part of my contract that I go over are things like how many things do I need to do that are in certain zones for me. So I zone things in my life in a color system. So there's green, yellow, red, just like a stoplight.
Yeah.
And then there's also black as well. And so green is good. Green means go. Green is good things that I need to do as much as I can of. Yellow things are things that are going to be a little bit hard for me to do. So usually those have to do with physical touch, like going to get my hair cut or going to get a manicure or going a service that somebody else has to provide for me. I can't do it myself.
Right.
And those are hard for me to do, especially when they're a physical touch. Has something to do with that. That's why I get so many tattoos, because that's an easier thing for me to do than most simpler things that other people would think. But then there's also red. Red is like things that I can't do without like addressing my therapist, basically, like making sure this is a good strategic move for me to do. And then black is things that are not allowed. So they're off the table, not going to happen, like. And then also things that I need to talk about a lot of time goes on their blacklist. And then another part of it is all relationships. So if I'm in a relationship with somebody, that's a very important thing for me, and I take it very seriously. So I basically feel like I'm under contract with somebody whenever I'm in a relationship. And I do have my own physical contracts for the relationships that I'm in, especially if I'm living with somebody or anything like that. Like things like that are going to go on contract for me, at least in therapy wise. Right. And so I have brought it up to Dante, obviously, because, I was working on some of my paperwork and finalizing paperwork and like signing paperwork. And he asked, what I was doing. And I told him, I'm finalizing my therapy contract for the year. And I was like, and I'm glad I have you here because I need to make sure that you're good for signing on for another year. And he laughed. He was like, yes, of course, sure.
And then he pulled out a paper.
And then because he had something he had told me before, like that he would, sign on another. I was like, I don't really do 5-year, 10-year contract. Like, I'm not going to sign you on for anything too extensive.
Yeah, we're not doing a long-term.
It's just what you get year by year. And he knows. I've talked about lease. I've talked about this with him before too. Like, there's been numerous times that I've made sure he still wanted to be with me. Like, we're good, right? Like, you're cool. Like, you want to be in this relationship still? Like, and he's like, yes, of course. He's like, in his eyes, he tells me, I want to stay with you forever. Like, he has a standing contract with me. And he knows that I don't want to get married, and he's not going to ask me to get married. He's very happy with our agreement and what we have in our life together, and he doesn't want it to change in any way. Yeah. And so he's like, I'm good. You can sign me up, sign me on for another year.
All right, I'm glad he's not going anywhere.
Me too. I mean, I really am. And this marks he's now my longest relationship that I've ever had in my entire life.
That's crazy.
And that is because we've been together for 6 years now, and that it's a very extensive relationship to me. Like that. Yeah. That doesn't happen. Like, everybody's shocked. My family's shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah, because I think you previously had a 2-year rule.
Yeah, usually, and that's the thing. I always usually go year by year with people, but some people can last longer than others when being under contract with me, because I take it seriously.
I thought it was you that had the average of 2 years.
Well,
Maybe I'm confusing.
No, it is mine. It is.
Okay, I thought it was you.
But usually I give people, if somebody has a really good year with me, like if I am in a relationship and I really enjoy the relationship and I have no qualms with the relationship, I'll sign on for another year. Like, you'll get 2 years out of me. But then that's it. That was it. After 2 years, I usually moved every 2 years too. Like, it wasn't just the relationship, it was the place too. Yeah. Everything, there was auto reset every 2 years. And it didn't matter who you were or how wonderful you were, or it didn't matter.
Look at Dante, man, making it the long haul.
I know. I can't believe it.
It's probably because he's secretly a serial killer.
I know. It's okay. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, it's okay.
I live a very blissful life.
Yeah.
Love you, Dante.
Yeah, we do. I love you too, Dante. I do have to say, Rick says the other day, Kelly's over here the other day, and Rick is selling one of his boats, and I said, Kelly, you might want to see if Dante wants to buy the boat because he likes to fish, and maybe he wants a boat, I
said, you're going to keep it in the family?
I mean, yeah. We both have people with boats. And so he says, and so I was like, Rick, send me a picture or whatever, and he was like, oh, you can just find him on Facebook. And Kelly just walks over there with her phone. Here's my phone number or whatever. You tried to get
I was trying to just get information. And he looked at my phone like I was trying to hand him a snake or something.
He was like, I don't know what to do right now. He did not know what to do.
He didn't even touch it.
Well, I want to say, first off, he is old school, right?
Yeah.
So on Facebook, to get him to accept my sister or my cousins that are female, my sister-in-law, I had to pull teeth. And it's not that he doesn't like them. It's nothing to do with that. They think that, though. People think he doesn't like them because he won't accept them. Any woman that wasn't already on his Facebook when we met, you're not
getting on. Sorry.
Yeah, that's locked down.
You had to be grandfathered in.
So I'm like, will you please add my cousin, okay? Stop being a dick. She friend requested you 2 years ago.
You have a 2-year wait list? That's crazy.
People will tell me. I friend requested him forever ago, and he will not accept. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I know. It's kind of a dick.
I'm sorry about that.
So I knew instantly why he did that.
I did too. I was playing out an act because when we were walking,
it was so
when
funny.
we were walking downstairs, because I really wanted to be able to first be able to tell Dante about the boat and be able to show him a picture of it. And then second, you had already told me about the podcast as well that he listened to about love languages.
Yeah.
And Dante very much knows his love languages.
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, send a link.
But I just think that it would be interesting to let him listen as well because he likes to watch, that kind of stuff as well. And so I was like, okay, well, yeah. So I wanted both of those things. And I knew that you didn't have it, and I was leaving, and I wanted to have this information. So I walk over to him for him to give me the information. I'm like, here you go. And he is like, absolutely not. I was like, because what I did, I didn't even give him mine. I held up Dante's contact information.
He cannot handle that. The look
and
on
he
his
was
face.
like, he said, I don't know. I was like, you don't want to be friends with Dante? He's like, no, I don't want to be friends with anybody. I was like, perfect. Neither does Dante. I was like, you don't have to be friends with Dante. I just want to know. I need your information, and I need it to be passed on to him. So who's going to do it? And he's like, no, Zeta can do it. Zeta can do it. And I was like, you're not my friend either? And he's like, no, you're friends with Zeta, and so you're in. And I was like, damn right.
Bless his heart, man. We make him so uncomfortable. Bless his heart.
Yeah, I think I was standing the closest I've ever stood to him ever.
You could see him. You could see a physical reaction in him.
I know.
You? He got so
I
uncomfortable.
know that I was standing too close to him.
I was laughing so hard at him. He looked like a little kid suddenly that did not know what to do. And he was sitting at the table, so he was sitting and she was standing next to him. And anytime men do that to women all the time. They stand over them on purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever had that. He was like, what the fuck is going, there's a woman standing over me and this isn't.
You better back up. You better back up.
This man is like John Wayne. It's like she just did this to John Wayne. Am I wrong? Is that not the best description?
I was scared the whole time.
It was so funny. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Maybe come back next week and bring a friend.
Yeah. And remember, there's always 3 sides to every story.
2 sides and the truth.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.